It's been so long. In Adrienette Fanfiction, Part 29. It was the next day, and Marinette and Tiki still had no idea as to what happened. Not only did her parents take her phone, which was very shocking, but they'd kept her from school. It was all so weird and out of character for them, and in short, made no sense at all. What merited staying home from school? She wasn't suspended or anything. Her parents had practically barricaded her in her room. Whenever she'd open the trap door, they'd glare at her fiercely until she retreated. They'd bring up snacks and meals at her at random times, but not without a glare. But at least, however, whenever they came, they would leave without a word. Luckily, they'd forgotten that her computer could connect to messages and social media, so at least she had that to contact her friends with. "I'm so confused," Marinette said for the 1000th time. Tiki didn't say anything. She was just as lost and, in fact, trying to think of ways and reasons and things that could be why this madness was happening. Marinette typed out a text and sent it to Alya on her computer. What if there's an Akuma and my parents check on me and I'm gone?" Marinette said worriedly. That was a concern, as she had no idea or no way to know when her parents would come up. She'd probably have to rely on luck if it really came down to it. Not that she felt comfortable with that. "Not that I'd normally encourage this, but you could make a sleeping form under the sheets and play sleeping music. They'll most likely leave you alone, especially since they aren't popping in for a chat," Tiki said. Marinette nodded but felt uneasy. She didn't love that. It made her feel like she was sneaking out. That was something she'd never do. Marinette liked to think that she was a good kid that would ever try to betray her parents' trust and connection like that. But then again, it applied to her more rebellious teen side. Not that she enjoyed that one either. "Alya still hasn't responded," Marinette said worriedly. She checked the time. Second period was just about to let out, and normally Alya was on her phone during class. But maybe today's lesson was important. The black-haired girl sighed, waiting for the little words "red" to appear on the screen. "She'll probably get to it," Tiki said reassuringly, even though she was quite worried herself. In efforts to keep herself busy, Marinette moved over to her sewing machine and tried to work on a project. Not that it took her mind off of everything completely. "This is nice, right?" she asked, holding up the skirt and top she had just randomly decided to make to shut out the panic. Tiki nodded. "Really 1950s. It's like New Look inspired," Tiki commented. Marinette bit her lip and looked at the set. Yeah. It did have a 50s vibe to it. A 50s American vibe, that is. She could add gloves and a hat and some red lipstick and boom! She was a girl in America in 1953, happy to be with her husband who was back from the war. "Did you get to experience the 50s? Marinette asked curiously. Tiki nodded. "Yes! Not for very long, though. But it was very interesting. Not as sweet and loving as the movies make it seem. America was tainted with prejudice at the time, but there was something interesting about the masses of soda pop shots and flaring skirts that made girls look like a timer," the red Kwame explained. "If I put this on, I would look like a 1950s American housewife, right?" Marinette said, half tempted to do so and to make an impression, to give herself some sort of entertainment. Tiki giggled. "You should do that." And so she did. Marinette dressed herself up in the outfit she had just made on a whim, did her makeup to the best of her abilities, which wasn't good, and curled her hair in a 50s way with Tiki's help. "Wow! What a blast from the past!" Tiki giggled when the look was complete. Marinette looked at herself in the mirror and couldn't help but giggle along. It was so odd to see herself like this, with a purple skirt and white shirt and jacket, purple fabrics tied and cinched up as a belt. Marinette looked and somehow felt so different, and in a really fun way. "Do you remember any slang?" she asked Tiki. The Kwami thought hard. You look like you could be a paper shaker, cheerleader. And then if you thought a guy was cute, you'd call him a dreamboat. I heard cool cat a lot, or hap cat," Tiki said idly. Marinette laughed. "Shot would love to hear me call him a hap cat, wouldn't he?" Tiki agreed that he definitely would. It was then that Marinette decided to take a look at Alya's text, only to find that there was a lack of one. She had seen it, but she didn't reply. "Oh no! Is she still angry with me?" Marinette said worriedly, gripping the sides of her chair tight. Tiki's mouth pressed into a worried line. "She doesn't normally hold a grudge." Her words trailed off. They were both too afraid of actually saying it out loud. Perhaps Alya was still angry. I'll write her an apology and then send the text to Nino. Maybe he'll know what's going on," Marinette decided. She was really feeling out of the loop as of right now. Tiki nodded her agreement. It took a good 10 minutes for Marinette to write out the text, and boy, was it long. I mean, she could turn it into her English class and would probably get an A. I think this is good. She looked it once over. "It is," Tiki said encouragingly. Marinette sent it. The line loaded, and the text is delivered. She looked over it again. I need better self-control, don't I?" Marinette muttered. "I mean, this probably wouldn't be happening if I just didn't react. I can't stop myself sometimes." She looked around her room. There were holes and blank spots in her wall. "Or a lot of the time," she muttered. Marinette could still remember ripping poster after poster of Adrien off of her bedroom walls. At the time, she was a little sad and quite amused at the collection she'd amassed. But now she felt a bit sick that it had even existed to that degree. It was one thing to have a celebrity crush, one that you didn't personally know or saw on a daily basis. It was one thing to have a cutout of a star you were never going to meet, but you still had fangirl dreams about marrying. It was a completely different thing to know a person and school with that person and see them every day as part of your friend group and still have posters and pictures and cutouts of them. Even when she had a crazy crush on him, they were friends, yet she treated him more like a celebrity than a peer. "I basically stalked him," she admitted defeatedly. Tiki didn't say anything. They both knew it was true. "I was so crazy about him. I should have been getting to know him as a person, rather than getting with him as Adrien aggressed, or learning his schedule. I should have been more worried about him as a person than getting enough pictures for a creepy collage. I mean, it should be telling. I didn't want anyone else seeing it. I knew it was crazy, but I didn't care. But now I do. And I'm so embarrassed and upset at myself." Marinette buried her head in her hands. "I definitely have control issues," she muttered. Tiki flew over to her and petted her head softly. "You're getting older. You're learning. You made immature mistakes as a kid, and that's okay. It's all a part of growing up. I'm getting flashbacks to how I acted around him before, and it's so embarrassing." I want to die on this ground right now. How did people let me exist after some of those stunts? They knew you genuinely liked them. You're just being an excited kid. I'm less of that crazy little girl, aren't I? Right? Less. Marinette sighed. I have a lot to work on, I guess. She swiveled to her computer, only to find that Nino had also only read her text and not responded. What? Nino never held petty grudges or read things without a reply. He had read it minutes ago, but still nothing from his end. That was concerning, to say the least. Quickly, Marinette texted Adrien, hoping for a different response. Alas, he read it immediately, but didn't even start to type. Is everybody mad at me for some reason? Marinette asked worriedly. God, today was all confusion and worry and panic, wasn't it? What's happening? She asked Tiki. Not that she thought that she would know. I think something very wrong is about to happen, Tiki said. They looked at each other, and indeed, something bad would happen. About 100 rings came from her mail app. It was her old, oh good God, kill her, Adrien fan page. Marinette cringed at the name of the account, and the fact that it even existed. What's everyone buzzing about? She asked mindlessly, clicking onto the account to find her timeline flooded. Post after post and update after update came rushing in. Every time she refreshed it, there was a whole new slew of freakouts. What the? Marinette's eyes traced over the big bold letters, the ones with crying emojis underneath it. No way! Adrien Agreste is announced to no longer being single. Tiki squealed, and Marinette shrieked. When did this happen? She panicked. There was no way this could have happened without her knowing. Adrien was her friend. Actually, not stalking him now, friend. He would have said something if he was dating someone. He would have told her if he wanted to ask out Kagami like he did the first time. Or if he liked someone. Who? She said in a whisper. There was a pang of jealousy in her heart, of course. There always was. Marinette scrolled through all of the madness and crying. Here, she said, finding a video someone had posted 3 minutes ago. It started with shrieks, and a girl looking a bit younger than her saying it was a sad day for Agreste fans everywhere. And to his friends who were out of the loop and mildly still in love with him, Marinette muttered to Tiki. The girl lamented that it was a shock and that no one could have expected it to occur so quickly. You're telling me, Marinette scoffed at the screen. Credible sources say Adrien Agreste is dating school friend and activist Lila Rossi. No! No way! If Marinette was on her phone, she would have dropped it to the ground and covering her mouth and muffling her scream. No way! She screamed without restraint. Tiki was just as frozen as she was. What? This is not right. This isn't good. Something is so totally wrong, Marinette said in a frenzy. Her mind raced. This couldn't be real. This had to be fake. It had to be something mad had happened. And Akuma must have happened to make this upside down impossible happen in real life. She wasn't dreaming. Because if she was dreaming, this was a complete nightmare. There had to be an Akuma. That has to be the reason, Marinette muttered. Tiki shook her head. That's jumping too far to a conclusion. Sure, it's shocking, but there can be another reason, Tiki said. Marinette was barely listening. No, it has to be, Marinette insisted. She stood up from the chair and transformed. Her gut was telling her it was an Akuma. It had to be. Tiki said something along the lines of, self-control, my... something. As Ladybug, Marinette went to the balcony and swung out into the city. She needed to find Lila. She needed to fix a situation that clearly only an Akuma could have caused. Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Dupan Chang. My name is Lila. I'm one of Marinette's friends, and the school wanted someone to take her books to her, and I offered. Lila smiled sweetly at Marinette's parents. They grinned back. Come in, come in. They led her through the house. Lila took mental pictures of the whole place. This was how the Dupan Changs lived. She's up there, dear. I'm sure she'll be happy to see you, Marinette's mother said. Thank you so much, Lila said with so much sugar, her mind cursed. Going up and opening the trapdoor, Lila peered her eyes around. The place was borderline a heaping mess on one side and remarkably clean on the other. There didn't seem to be a trace of the dreaded girl anywhere, so Lila opened the door farther and slipped in with light steps. Marinette wasn't in her room at all. Naughty, naughty, she must have escaped out her balcony. Lila noted the walls, mostly bare other than a few posters of New York and some flowers. However, it was clear they didn't used to be alone, since there were, say, 25 bald spots in the wall. Ah, Lila smirked, walking over to one and brushing her fingertips across. This must have been where the Adrien poster collection was, she said to no one at all. Lila let out a wicked laugh. She had tricked the world into believing that she and Adrien were madly in love. Adrien was her doting and loving boyfriend, Marinette's friends. Well, they got too close and she got them off their back with a quick update. Now they didn't care much for Dupan Chang. It was just as it all should be. Marinette shunned away to her house, and Adrien at her side, loving her sweetly. Lila's olive green eyes caught onto a mangled, rolled-up poster board in the corner of the room. She walked over to it as it stirred her interest. What is this little gem? She muttered to herself. It was a giant schedule? Marinette, why did Marinette need a huge... Hold on. She didn't fence or take Mandarin lessons, nor did she know how to play the piano. Oh, this was good. Lila began to fold it up to the point where she could stuff it into her bag. This was going to be great blackmail material. What crazy person has a schedule of their friend's life on it? Creeper much. With a satisfied hum and look around to check on her and check for more incriminating evidence, Lila went back down the ladder to put on her perfect persona again. The view that greeted her was Marinette's parents. She was sleeping, so I didn't want to bother her, Lila told them. No need to give Marinette a chance to ruin this for her. Oh yes, thanks dear. She can really benefit from a friend like you, Marinette's mom said, hugging her tight, much to Lila's shock. Oh, she was touchy. Yeah, Lila said inconspicuously, pushing away. With that, Lila breathed and walked out the door, dusting herself off and walking her way back to school. Her plan was all coming together. Lila Rossi! Yelled a voice. She turned around and looked towards the voice, only to find the one and only Ladybug facing her with an angry expression on her face. Lila's face drew into a smirk. Ladybug, she said with a slight laugh. So wonderful to see you. The lady in red glared at her. I know what you did, she seethed. Lila took a step back and dramatically put a hand to her heart, mockingly offended and hurt. Me? Whatever did I do? The brunette said in a mocking tone. Ladybug's eyes narrowed. You can't be dating Adrien and Grest. Oh, it was about Adrien, wasn't it? Sigh. It was always about Adrien. Oh, that? Yeah, well, you probably should be talking to him then. He's the one that wanted to ask me out anyways, Lila said smugly, looking at her nails, boredly. Ladybug nearly squawked. It's not true. I know it isn't, she continued stubbornly. Lila raised a brow at her and smiled smugly. So what if it is? What can you do about it? Lila stepped closer and changed her voice to be dangerously low. And why do you care? Got a soft spot for the aggressed? Better keep that secret locked up. Wouldn't want a certain person in purple dress to find out. Lila straightened in time to find Ladybug's mouth agape in shock and clear panic. It was so nice catching up with you. You're such a good friend of mine, too. Ta! Lila cried out before turning away. Ladybug couldn't respond. Lila snorted. Was she the only one getting deja vu? Ladybug really seemed to act an awful lot like Marinette. Tiki was glaring at Marinette when she detransformed. Just remind me what we were talking about before that happened. Marinette looked away embarrassed. Yeah, self-control. But my instincts, they have to be right. Did you see her phone? It's different. It has to be that. Marinette pleaded with her. Tiki sighed. It's good that you trust your gut feeling, but it can't be the only thing you listen to. You need to listen to tangible facts too. If you've seen her phone before with the added, your instincts telling you something's up, we could have planned something out. Lila's awfully close to one of Ladybug's weak spots, and that is not good, Tiki said, flying in a circle in the air. Next time you feel the urge to confront someone, which shouldn't be often, we need to plan it out and think about what we're doing. You're putting way too much of yourself out there, Marinette, Tiki said. Marinette sighed. I know. I'm sorry. I'll think next time. I promise. Tiki nodded satisfied. Marinette leaned back on the chair and spun around. She was not good at... Marinette! Look at this! Tiki said, staring at the computer screen. What? And that's when she saw it. A video on Adrien and Grest's Instagram story confirming that his relationship with Lila was real. What? Whoa! That's not how Adrien acts, Marinette gasped. Indeed, Adrien on camera was swinging his arms around madly and speaking very intensely. Another thing he didn't do. That's so out of character, Tiki muttered. They shared a look. They shared a look. Clearly something was going on, and whatever it was the same as her parents. I really think it's Lila, Tiki. I really do, Marinette said with worry. Tiki looked at her. I think so too, but we need to plan our next move. Get in contact with Chat Noir, Tiki said. All right, Marinette agreed. Let's get thinking.